Welcome to Lucid Dreaming and the Cube of Space for the Alchemical Cabala. This past week, we've been traveling the current of Samet, the path sometimes called probation. And it's the direct path or connection with what's known as the Holy Guardian Angel in Kabbalah. Temperance, right up here. So we've been traveling this above Western path. When we look at temperance and the current on the cube of space, after we've merged into this current, we've worked with it, we've traveled along it. Also, we experience what's called trial and error. This is the temperance key is the primary key of basically where we find out for ourselves through temperance and through trial and error, what works, what doesn't work, what's real, what's not real, what's a good idea, but maybe we don't get much results from it, what comes up that is very surprising. There's so much going on in the temperance key. But in essence, it's just where we determine what's so for us. And ultimately, on this current, the experience is the fancy title of knowledge and conversation with the holy guardian angel. All right. Now, traveling down this current, we only have one option available to us now. And anyone, can you share what that option now is?
The star
South
key.
Star.
Yes, it's the star key. Because the path of noon is coming up, right? And the only direction that we can go now is the current of Sadi right here at star. There's no that's it. If we stay in the current of the cube of space and we have traveled along temperance, we have to come to the star key and through it. It's the only thing available to us at this point. Now, since we have to merge into this current, notice we're not just merging into the star. There is a new current that is joining the intelligence of temperance and merging and becoming one in the star key. What's the other current?
Transition key.
Yes, excellent, easy. It's the transition key, which we know this is the letter noon. Who recalls what the letter noon means?
Fish.
Perfect. And the letter Sadi in Hebrew means
Fish hook.
perfect. Fish hook. All right. So, what we see in the current of Sadi is that the fish is being raised and caught on this fish hook, raised from the waters of the below, the subconscious. So before we get too far, let's get straight to the core practice we have for our classes here. All right, everyone get comfortable, take some deep breaths, center in yourselves, and really focus on our key for this week, the star. And as you will, just unmute yourselves one at a time and share what occurs to you in this week's current.
The water under her foot holds her up because it becomes almost solid in meditation. Uh, I forget exactly why. The slowing down, the just things become more solid when you're meditating, when you change states of mind.
That's an excellent observation. Can you speak a little more to that?
Mm. Everything is slowing down and becomes more real in a way. Uh,
Okay.
kind of like
Um,
kind of like astral plane, maybe. Um,
yes, absolutely. Excellent. Thank you, Victoria. Very good. Who was it that said geometry is solidified music? If y'all heard that quote, one of the philosophers. I don't know if it's Michael probably knows.
No, I don't offhand.
Uh, I'd have to look it up. Anyway, but yeah, it
Probably
kind of
Pyth-
speaks
Pythagoras.
Pythagoras? Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
in,
Pythagoras.
yeah.
I just Googled it. It's Pythagoras. Yep. Michael's
Okay.
right. Mhm.
All right. Who else?
Think of salvation, I guess, when we play with playing on the theme of the Christ or Jesus, the reference to the fish is often used, and I don't think I've ever really grasped the whole of what was being communicated there. But the hook makes me think of like something that resonates with you where you're at and allows you to come from a place that you can't see beyond, something like that. Allows you to follow that imagery or something. You know, if you're using the imagination to engage with your interests or something that follow your interest is leading you somewhere, using that imagery as an interface or like a hook to to see where it takes you. Some, some that's kind of where I was wanting to go with that, I guess you could say.
Okay, interesting. I hear you.
I suppose it may be revealing my current state, feeling feeling like I'm looking for the right thing to grab onto to take me beyond my own ideas, um, echoing thoughts and things. S- So that's where I'm hoping this goes.
Okay, interesting. The the astrological signs we see as the white stars above her, the seven. It's interesting that they are the complements and the opposites of one another. You have Mars and Venus at the top. You have the Sun and the Moon. You have Saturn, constricting intelligence, and then the expansion of Jupiter here. And then right here at the the nape or the top of the spine is right in the middle here is Mercury, the messenger.
Let's see. The eight-pointed star seems to reconcile those opposites as well. It mediates those
Yes.
opposites, and Mercury
Yes.
being below in this case, the upper point of that star seems to be pointing to beyond, to the beyond. So the
Good.
communication through Mercury, through receptivity
Yeah.
of Mercury with what is not known.
Excellent. And
Can
apparently, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, can I share this little verse that's in the Jewels of the Wise for the star?
Please.
It's really good. The star of meditation leads to the birth of the Christ in you, as the focusing of solar energies transforms the vehicle to receive the Christ force. I thought that was pretty cool.
Hmm.
And
Very cool.
the two vessels are conscious and subconscious mind too. And yeah, it's a great card. I just wanted to share that. Thank you.
That's excellent. Thank you, Rachel. So we have 7 planets aligning this week in our actual sky, which I think is supposed to be a pretty not that common. That like in the same skyline. Has anybody been following this?
Yeah, I heard about it. I didn't know that was this week, but that's
I
cool.
think it's the 20th through the 28th, so we're kind of like right in the middle of it.
And Lent starts next week.
Okay. So, let's see.
And with Lent starting next week, the Lent meditations are now available on the website, the .com. If anybody, I think it's the .com. Yeah.
Thank
Under
you.
under the calendar. Just
Okay.
click on the calendar and then it'll say Lent meditation. So you can follow them along anytime you want. You don't have to print it. Just pull it up on your phone and do the meditation that morning and that evening if you want.
Very cool. So, just so you guys know, these are the planets that will be all in the same sky for us this week. It's going to be Saturn, which is here, Mercury, which is right at the nape, Neptune, Venus, which is right up here, Uranus, Jupiter down here at the right, lower right, and Mars at the higher upper left, and of course the sun and moon. So all of these planets on this card are going to be in the same visible sky for us. Pretty remarkable, really.
Getting in alignment for the birth of Christ, or the resurfacing of Christ, the light,
Interesting.
not the birth, but the resurfacing. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
like the way this key comes after the tower
Mm.
and kind of the death of the false self, leaving us naked and vulnerable, and everything clean and balanced, which seems to be much of the representation of this card. And the ibis too on the tree, that is associated with writing, I found out. And so after being cleaned through the humiliation and the destruction of one's false aspirations and egotistical career, you get this opportunity to write a new story, and it's done like on a clean slate. Like everything about this card is clean and open, and and new. So anyway, I like that. I like that aspect of it, showing what comes after the tower, you know?
Very nice. Thank you, Michael.
She's naked but not vulnerable. I mean,
Well, yeah, but in terms of evolutionary biology, we are vulnerable. The front of us is vulnerable. Not talking about psychologically, but you know, although the physical symbol shows that.
This symbol is the raised body, the body raised with light.
Yes.
She's all is revealed. And she has the attributes of the planets, the 7 planets back her up with the star.
And they're all white.
And they're all white. So we all attribute white to God consciousness. So awareness of purity. So you have complete revealing. So she's the card of meditation. So we're looking at all is being revealed to you, which follows with what you were saying, Michael. So now that you're cleared up, you have a little objective awareness of what's going on. You're consciously, objectively aware of what's happening to you, as opposed to all the inaccurate underlying assumptions. Those are tossed out in the last key. And now what you're getting are accurate truths. She's pouring, so blue is memory, as we recall, the high priestess. And she's pouring water into a pool, but she's also pouring it onto the earth in 5 parts. And the 5 parts usually represent man, or the quintessence, the 5 stars, and pouring it. And the earth is green, so we have love. So the basis of this is objective observation through meditation will reveal the truth to you. And she's revealing it. You're not taking a cloth off of her and digging around and looking. It's being revealed to you. So you have to have your head cleared by the previous card falling off the tower to be able to do it. So it's experiential, because what happened in the previous card, they were tossed off the tower. Their world is that they thought was real is gone. So what's being revealed here is a very different world, as Michael brought up. The little tree in the back has been said to look like a brain stem. And you got the little ibis there. So it is the brain is the transmitter or operating mode of operation through which our bodies, our consciousness works. But it's through it. It's not from it.
Well said.
And so we have once again kneeling on green, resting on love. That old axiom of love God first, love your neighbor as yourself. That'll reveal a lot if you can do that and get yourself out of the way. And with the support of all the planets and what they represent, each one of them represents something. The Mercury is the symbol for super consciousness. So there it is. And then you have the sun and the moon. So all those attributes are available to you if you let go of everything. But it's the point where we are chemically changing our bodies so that we become one with the Christ, with the light, with creation, whichever term you want to use. You don't walk away from it. You get to take it with you. You raise it up. And the old saying of the proof is in the pudding. If things aren't working out, you may need to be a little more objective. It's quite
You know,
lovely.
this key is also related to the chariot through Netzach or victory.
Yes.
And the chariot is kind of like the external mastery, and the star is like internal mastery. And they're quite opposite, but they balance each other, just like everything in this key is balanced. In that in the chariot, he's well armored. She's completely open. You know, that's where the vulnerability comes in. So it would be like in the chariot to exercise one's willpower, it takes discipline, and yet she's like open and being vulnerable to
Yeah,
the
but I
higher
see
to
her
the
as
higher
no one
guidance.
can, yeah, no one can touch her.
Well, yeah, I don't mean vulnerability in terms of weakness.
Okay,
No, I mean vulnerability as being vulnerable, to being sensitive,
receptive,
Her
sensitive,
her
receptive,
vibration is
receptive.
receptive, yeah,
Yeah,
receptive.
she's
work.
receptive.
Yeah,
yes. The
Right.
vibration here is so high, and she's kneeling on love. So love is like protecting everything about everything here.
Isn't that
And
humility? She's on
it
bended knee.
absolutely. And she's vibrating so high that literally her foot is resting on the waters of the mind.
yeah. On memory, she fully remembers who and what she is.
Yes.
That was
And walking on waters.
Yes.
yeah, walking
She's
on water.
Yes.
We're all working on
So
that.
think about that this week when you're remembering to intend to wake up in your dreams. Anyone else want to share before we move forwards? Those are all excellent
Um,
points.
I yeah, I guess I'll just share briefly because yeah, there's so much been shared so far, which is really helping see some new light. Uh, where because again with the I mean kicking off with the water being not so much being as solid, but again just thinking from that the thing that was coming up was just the whole just concept of time and just how it's all energy and all that. And something that comes up a lot is just thinking about how this is like one long meditation, whatever you want to define it to be, but it's like that when
That's
you
well
real
said. Yeah.
yeah, it's just like, and again, it's thinking of, you know, go as far back and go as far forward and everywhere in between. At the end of the day,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
just this is just one long meditation. And so I share that. So just thinking of the water part, but with regards to um what Margot just shared and with and just with the two things which is say one, something Michael you'd brought up with regards to um the two, like immediately I was like, oh, the Hierophant key. Oh, there's Lover's key. Oh yeah, there's also this key with it. There's so many keys that are the Chariot, right? Where and then compared with this, like the way that this key, so example of all the other keys too, of just that kind of the both sides, just kind of that union, kind of that two in the one aspect. But just to speak towards this key directly, and just how it uh, with regards to like the transition key, right, with the fish and the part that was coming up was, with regards to thinking of again just the directions, the currents, but also it was like this quote from this one movie. It's called The Holy Mountain, where it's like the fish thinks about his hunger, not about the fisherman. It's the master who seeks the disciple. If you want to know the secret, but man cannot achieve nothing by himself alone, and then to
Yeah.
achieve the work, you have these
Great point.
companions. Yeah, and the last bit of the, like to accomplish the alchemical work. You have these companions, and we spent just a wonderful, and we're going to you really touch on well of just the different planets there, and just how it's like their companion. It's like helpers, that intelligence that's there, but it's that again, the word that comes up is like surrendering to rather than trying to, impose control, because that's just, it's a fool's
Yeah.
game, it seems like. But I share that because the thing is, can thinking of that quote and just kind of what this key not so much as represents, but also I was just thinking with the tree of life itself, right? Because this is connecting, what is it, the Yesod to Netzach, right? So it's
Yes.
astral to victory, but also
Yes.
the simple tree, it's desire, right?
Yes.
Any
Correct.
thoughts? Yeah. So it's like with all of those, you know, distinctions or comparisons, whatever they're being made, it's that thing of it's so wonder it just put a smile on my face seeing that transition key with the current going upward, and
Mm.
then with the temperance key with the current moving its direction to converge, and then they're leading into the star key, which I'm looking at the vases that you had, which the question, but just how it's kind of this whole thing of this this journey of self, this journey of discovery, this journey of source, this journey of all of it is just this whole, to truly see, go inward, and all this stuff. That whole thing of going to the source, I'm looking here now, like, oh, there's the fish travel the way upstream. It's like there's the vases right there, whether they be the on, in her left hand, the five senses, right? Just the five different streams, or just that one pool, and
Right.
then just leading all up to her, and then with all the other details that everyone's already kind of elaborated
Yes.
on. So it's just, those things were coming up as because there's so much that different charity, which I'm like, oh yeah, that makes so much sense. Uh, and it's wonderful. I did have a really brief question with regards to the design on the two vases. I notice, and if I'm looking right, it has the oval with the two stripes. The oval, if my understanding, it's the tattva of spirit.
Correct.
Um, but that being said, on the vase on her left hand, I know this gets a little nitpicky here, so apologies.
Okay.
It's a red stripe and then a white, and then on
Yep.
her right
Yeah. It's
hand, it's a white
reversed.
reversed right there. So
Hmm.
I don't know if it was just kind of like here's this, mirroring, it's all the same, or just kind of this,
It's worth meditating
intuitively.
on for sure.
Yeah.
It's definitely worth
Okay.
contemplating. And
Yeah.
yes,
I was curious if
the,
what else, if there's anything else regards to
it's a
that or
good
any
pickup.
perspective there.
Well,
Yeah.
immediately we go to the Sephiroth of the same color. So
Mm,
what we see is
yeah.
the activity of Keter binding each of the the faces, right, with the tattvas of spirit.
Mm,
So we see the waters of spirit being poured out, poured through us.
that's
All
really
right.
cool. Yeah.
Very
Thank
cool.
you.
Thank you. Thank you, Easy. Okay, we got to move forward. Thank you, everyone. Excellent, excellent insights as always. So we're going to muse a little bit on the cube and the symbols here. All right, so who can tell me what is the the key for the Western face on the cube of space?
Wheel of Fortune.
Perfect, thank you. Yes, the Wheel of Fortune. So let's just look at this. This is the whole Western face, right? And what is the figure that's raised in the upper right corner of this key?
Scorpio.
Yes, the eagle is considered Scorpio, right? That's been raised. All right. So, what is the current that rises on the western face, on the cube of space, on the southwestern corner?
Transition.
Which is, which astrological
E-
sign is this?
Oh, okay, Scorpio.
It's Scorpio.
Hmm.
Okay, excellent. All right. So, We know the Hebrew letter there is fish. We know that the fish hook of Sadi is connecting that to it. All right. So what then is, where else do we see this eagle in the tarot? Most recently.
Temperance.
Yes, perfect. Right here, right? Being tempered as it pulls over here. Okay. So what then do you think is one of the primary messages regarding Scorpio in the major arcana and the cube? From the keys and the currents and the positions that we see.
It's to me, it seems like it's the unconscious or part of ourselves that we're not so much conscious of being raised up
Okay.
um,
Okay.
through transition.
Good. Good. Anyone else?
Would it be also like, or just something that's coming up is that how it's because like with the fire, with, I don't know the astrological stuff too well outside of the name of Scorpio, but just with the whole thing of with the eagle and this fire, I don't know, I'm kind of thinking like it's, like the birds or whomever traveling towards like a light. And so that traveling of sorts kind of give it. So the thing that comes up for me looking at this is like it's giving focus, like that divine, the divinely guided element of just kind of there's, I don't know, focus, purpose, like
Okay.
something rather than just random activity, but that's
All
just
right. In most simple terms, the current of Scorpio, what's occurring with that current on the cube of space itself?
Being raised.
Perfect. Thank you, Jesse. Absolutely excellent. So we keep seeing this message repeated over and over in the keys that Scorpio must be raised. Um, you see the eagle raised on the right-hand corner of the center of the cube in the letter Tav, the world key, right? And how about look at the shape of the goddess of her legs, the letter, the Hebrew letter that's made here. What do you see? You see the Hebrew letter Tav, the foundation, and her arms are kind of in a triangle shape here. All right. So, as Jesse said, Scorpio must be raised. And it's the same message in the strength key, right? Where we see the lion's tail and the letter Teth is the serpent that must be raised. So when we covered the strength key, who recalls the tail end of the central nervous system, what we call this?
so it's a call to equinox, like horse's tail kind of thing, or
Correct. Yes, these are the fine fibers and comes all the way up to about the area where Mercury is, right? Now look at the spinal column, the central nervous system, and then think about the hair.
yeah.
As Margot said, this new body of light is being raised, right? It's interesting that in this figure, it kind of sways a little bit biased back on this side, so that at her left hip, which is the sphere of victory, is being a little bit more exposed. But this golden hair goes all the way up the back of the spine, all the way to the top.
Those 7 planets are interior stars that represent the chakras all the way up from the root, all the way up
Yes.
ground.
Mm-hmm.
So we have major Christ attainment. I just wanted to mention the purple in the background, which shows attainment, is inferior to the Christ attainment within. That I thought that was interesting.
That is interesting. Look at the shape of the way her hair falls on her head. What do you make of that? What do you see there?
I see a flowiness to it.
Okay, very nice.
was gonna say it's just like the spinal column aspect where
Okay.
we're the nerve the nervous system, like from there, it's like all contempt. Once you get to the bottom, that's when it starts
Yep.
really opening up.
Right. Okay.
It's
So
not falling in her eyes.
it's what
Mm.
not falling in her eyes. Okay, good. So on the cube, what two faces does the star keep connect? We'll go back here.
East and west face you're talking about, or
The
the star
above
key?
face and the south face. So the
Oh, right.
magician and the
Yep.
sun, right? So who remembers what the magician key is in these interior stars? Above the head, the magician key is the crown chakra. And what is the
Oh,
sun key?
the heart.
The heart. Perfect. So what then does the star key connect?
The head and the heart.
The crown and the heart. So when you meditate on this week, use your intuition and breathe in that golden white light from your crown down to your heart. When you exhale, breathe it back up, back and forth, like a figure 8. Okay? Now, looking at her head again and things we've been discussing, you might find this a little interesting. Maybe, maybe not. I found this a little interesting. This is just kind of popped out at me recently. So, what do you think of this?
It's pretty cool.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It's a little interesting, isn't it? Okay. So,
Oh,
That's nice.
so here's where here is the main teaching of Sadi and the Star Key is that we tend to think that when we go and do what we call meditation, where we sit down and we like have a practice, whatever it is. Hopefully, we have a daily practice. You should spend at least 5 to 15 minutes a day in some form of meditation regularly. Um, most people they think, okay, now I'm going to meditate, and we go through the motions, we do the things. The more you work with this key specifically, this key actually teaches us what true meditation is. And it's a continual flow of consciousness from the source of being into manifestation. So,
Our daughter said, does this have pseudonym?
no. All right. So, I want you to think about that. And I want you to think about a goal with this star key. A really great goal is to aim for what's called perpetual meditation. In mysticism, sometimes it's like called prayer without ceasing. Okay? This key will, the more we focus on it and immerse ourselves in it in the core practice, the more we merge our consciousness into this flow, and then we start to experience it. In the Sefer Yetzirah, or the Book of Formation, this is called the natural intelligence. I think it was Michael or Margot said, when we get clear, we get everything cleared out, and we're not identifying with the mass mind, we feel this subtle, superconscious life and light pour through us, pours through our five senses. And it pours back into the very foundation, the foundation of existence by creating forms. So on the tree, the star key, she connects victory, desire, and Venus to the moon, the sphere of Yesod, which is the astral plane. She's walking on the light of the stars. And this is what you do when you lucid dream. This is what we are doing all the time, always, anyways. We just have to wake up to that this is what's occurring. This is how life is flowing through us and creating what we call reality. The more we assume the position of the goddess in the star key, the more we invite these subtle superconscious light and life and intelligence to flow through us. In astrology, this is the sign of Aquarius. Now understand that meditation is an art, but like every art, we have to simply practice it. How you practice this is by using the core practice will teach you to naturally merge into the state that is the star. And our aim is to be in a continual receptive state to this light. So this week with your core practice, hold your imagery in your inner knowing and inner vision and breathe deeply from the golden star above you in your knowing. As you breathe this key in and out, keep your focus on the images within the key. Have you ever primed like an old-timey water pump? Has anybody ever had that experience? It's very cool. So you pump and you pump and you pump. You do this when you're breathing and you're doing the core practice. And eventually there's a shift when the prime occurs. And the same is with us with the core practice and the keys. In meditation, when we breathe the images in and hold our awareness completely fixed on the key itself, just like the waters are frozen here. When we hold this imagery completely still within us and breathe it in and out, this instructs our subconscious to put us into this state of receptivity And it's through this practice we come to realize we are being meditated by the mind of the all. When you feel this shift occur in your presence, which you will, simply let go and allow what comes forth from the self to come through you. Thank you all for your light and participation. This concludes this part of our class on sati, lucid dreaming in the cube of space. The floor is now open for any questions or comments.